In today's tip video, I'm going to talk about a brand new feature that Zoho Desk has added to its macro rules, and that is the ability to move tickets between departments. Before we jump into the macro, I do want to show how can tickets move between departments currently. If I come here to a list of tickets, obviously tickets can only exist in one department at a time. So I have two departments in my demo account here, the Demo 3 Zenatta department, and then this example second department that doesn't have any tickets. Currently, I have in my user management profile settings, I have that obviously the support administrator can do anything and everything. Over here, under multi-department permissions, you have move tickets. Your admins or those that you might want to give sort of carte blanche privileges of moving tickets around between departments, you can just make sure this feature is enabled, and you'll be able to, on any given ticket, click on the little three dots here, and under move, select the department that it's going to go to. Now that I've shown you that, you might be asking yourself, well, then why do I need a macro? Well, as I said, that feature is just sort of a on or off. You can either move any ticket to any department, or you can't move any tickets between any departments. But let's say you want to give certain users permission to move tickets from certain departments to other departments. So let's say you have my managers for my second department. I want the managers of that second department to be able to move a ticket from the primary department into their second department. But I don't necessarily want them to be able to move tickets from their department back into the primary department, let's say. So if I gave them the move tickets permission, they could just move tickets back and forth whenever they want. But if I wanted to make it a one-way process, that's where this kind of macro situation would come in handy. So let's show you how that works. I'm going to go to Setup, and under Automation, we go to Macros. Now, macros, if you don't know, they show up at the bottom of tickets. Here underneath the thread window, you have Apply Macro, and here you would see any macros that you've created. So we're going to be making our first one here. Under Automation, click on Macros. Going to create a rule. Now, macros are department specific, right? You create one per department. So I'm actually going to create this inside of the Demo 3 Zenatta department. Let's create the rule. And I'm going to call this move to second department. Obviously, by default, we want to leave it as active. But if you wanted to be creating this as sort of a draft, you don't want it going live yet, you could always uncheck it when you save it so that it's not actually visible to any of your users just yet. But we'll go ahead and leave this active for now. I'll leave the description blank because the rule name is pretty clear as it is. And then this is where that criteria comes into play. You can set the availability of who can view and apply this macro to the ticket. So I can make this available for any and all agents, or I could make it available to only specific agents. So I'll select specific agents. Then here I could choose agents individually, or usually a smarter choice would be to select a particular role. So I could select the role of managers can execute this macro, but not standard agents. Then I'll click on next, and I need to add my action here. So now here under actions to add, before we always used to have alerts, field updates, tasks, custom functions. Now we have this move department. So I'll go ahead and select move department. And the module obviously is stuck as tickets. So the department we're going to move it to is example second department. Then I need to select the layout. There's only one in my particular department, so we're just going to set it to example second department. As you can tell, this isn't a dynamic choice. If you wanted to have that macro be dynamic to send it to one layout or another, you either would need to create one macro for each layout, or you would need to go the route of creating like a custom function that would look at the ticket and based on some property in the ticket decide which layout it should go into. But for simplicity's sake, we're just going to create this single macro that pushes to a single layout. Okay, so now I have my move department action in place, and that is it. So I'll go ahead and click on save here. I now have my macro in place. So now let's go back to my list of tickets. I'll come here to customer needs help. Then you'll notice the macro does not appear for me because my current login is under the CEO role, not the manager role. So I don't see the macro appear here. So I'm actually going to come back in here. And just for the sake of illustration, we're going to edit this and we're going to add in the CEO role as well. Okay, I'm going to come back here to tickets. I'm in here, and now under macro, I have moved to second department. I can click it. It says the ticket has undergone some changes. I'll click on those view changes. It has now changed the department. So if I were to go back to my list of tickets, I can see that that customer needs help ticket is gone. And if I go into example second department, voila, the ticket is present. If you have some of these kind of specific circumstances where you want only certain roles of individuals to be able to move tickets from one department to another, and you want it one way, you don't want to give them just carte blanche permissions to move tickets around any department, then that is what this macro is for. Where you would need to move up to the realm of custom function, a couple of examples that I noted. One is if you need like being pushed to like a certain layout automatically or dynamically based on a ticket's properties, you would need to have a custom function to run that update for you. Another would be if you wanted to run this off of profile setting rather than role. As you saw, as far as selecting the agents that I could pick it by role, but not by profile. Just as a reminder, the difference between roles and profiles. Roles are where you define what ownership of records people have access to. So in this very simple setup, I have CEO, manager. Go ahead and add the role of agent. I'll say help agent. The help agent, I'm going to say that they report to the manager. They can share data with each other. All right. And so now I have these roles, right? A CEO, a manager, and a help agent. So this means that help agents can see each other's tickets, but they can't see tickets owned by managers. Managers can see tickets owned by one another if you have share data with peers turned on. If it's turned off, like in this one, they won't be able to share data with each other. And you can take a look at the records of anybody with a reporting role that's below you. These are the conditions that you can use for selecting certain types of agents that can have access to those macros for moving your ticket into a different department. The profiles, on the other hand, that's setting the permissions of what actions on a ticket or a customer or an account can you make? Can you create tickets, delete tickets, edit customers, as we talked about, move tickets between departments, all that sort of thing. So if you wanted to set the permissions for that change on a profile setting rather than on a role setting, you would need to tie that macro to a custom function and then do something like setting up a check inside of that custom function to either go ahead and execute the action or not execute the action, depending on the person's permission to do so. And that was a little bit of a tangent, but I think a useful one for talking about this brand new feature in Desk on moving tickets between departments using a macro. If you found this video helpful, we always like getting a like and subscribe here on the Zenatta Consulting YouTube channel. You can also head to Zenatta.com to book a meeting with us. If you wanted to get our help setting up your company's instance of Zoho, you can also go to Zenatta.com/training to look at our training programs, get your team trained up in less than 7 days on Desk. For example, I just finished recording a bunch of updates to our lessons there. We would always love to have you join Club Zenatta. You go to club.zenatta.com. It's a forum community where you can post questions, where our developers and consultants can go in, answer questions, and you can also talk to other like-minded Zoho community members. That's going to do it for this video, and we're excited to see you in the next one. Have a good one.